It's 2025, which means it's time for another What's in My Camera Bag. If you don't know me, my name is Cameron. I am a portrait and wedding photographer and videographer based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm going to take you through what I take typically on my day when I go to portrait sessions and weddings. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this year is going to look a little bit different because I did just switch to Sony from Canon. If you're curious to why I did that, I've made a whole video about it already. You can go click the card up here after you watch this video. But first things first, we're gonna start out with the bag that I use. The bag is actually brand new. I just got it in today because I upgraded, and it's the Uzi BP10, 25 liter expandable to 35 liter bag. I was initially using the Mosiso camera bag, and then I was most recently using the Uzi BP10, which is the little brother to this bag. And so I upgraded to this one because I wanted a little bit more space and I wanted a bag that I can grow into. I feel like I was already at max capacity with the BP09. But what I really like about this BP10 is the amount of space and the amount of storage that this camera has. This bag has ample amount of storage on the front side, also in an expandable 10 liter storage spot where you can store a gimbal, and if you're traveling, probably some clothes. In my head, I thought I was gonna be able to store like, a weekend's worth of clothes. You can probably fit like 2 t-shirts in there, okay? It's not a whole lot of stuff, but you can fit a gimbal in there and probably some other knickknacks here and there. This bag gives you the ability to access your equipment from either side of the bag, which I thought was pretty cool. And the amount of storage you get on the inside of the bag, it can carry a 16-inch laptop, it can carry an iPad, it has a bunch of mesh pockets in there, and the dividers that come within the actual storage pouch where you put your camera and all your other gear. It's really high quality, very durable, so I know my gear is protected in there. When I was on the Mosiso bag, the dividers were not doing anything at all. Like if I turned a corner too hard, my camera will go sliding around in my bag. Like it just wasn't a good use case for me. Now the BP09 has the same quality dividers as the BP10, but like I said, the BP10 is just a little bit bigger and can store a little bit more stuff than the BP09, so this is the reason why I went with the BP10. Right now, this bag is on sale. You can get it 20% off of the Uzi website. So instead of it being $150, I got it for $102, or $130, I got it for $102. So it's a steal right now. So if you go right now, run, don't walk, to Uzi website, you can apply the code at checkout and get it for just $102, which I think is a steal. But anyway, that's the bag I use. Really enjoy it, really like it. I think you'd like it too if you picked it up. But again, this isn't sponsored or anything. No links are going to be in the description because, yeah, this is not sponsored by anybody. But anyway, let's move on to the fun stuff. That's the bag I use. So now we're going to talk about the camera that I use. The camera that I use is the Sony A74. This is a great hybrid camera from Sony. It's a 33 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. It has a great amount of customization for C1 all the way to C4. You can customize this camera to basically make it your own, do whatever you want it to do. I really like this camera. The only thing I don't like about it is that it has a crop at 4K 60. So when I am doing my wedding or my engagement videos and I want to record slow motion, I am going to have to take into account the crop, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Hopefully on the A75, they're rumoring the A75, hopefully when that comes out, there is no crop on 4K 60. And hopefully it's at a decent price. Maybe I might upgrade, but I don't know. Also, what I really like about this camera is the full-size HDMI. Coming from Canon, like nothing had full-size HDMI except for their cinema line cameras, which was pretty annoying. So yeah, I got full-size HDMI on this, so when it comes to video, when I use my monitor, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it's seamless to use. So I really do like this camera. It's sitting at, I think, $2,500 right now, but I got it for $2,000, but with the A75 rumored to come out, this price should drop. So Sony A74 is the camera I'm using. One thing about this camera is right out the box is going to overheat. It's not a might, it's a will. It will overheat on you. But what you have to do is go into the menu system. You have to go to the yellow option and you have to go to the power settings, and then you have to switch auto temp power off to high. And once you do that, it won't overheat. Like when I first got it out of the box, I was recording and after 9 minutes overheated and died. And I was like, this is not usable. I can't use this camera. But once I switched that setting, I got well over 30 minutes. So at that point, it was until the fact of either the camera died or your SD card ran out, as long as you're in like room temperature. Now, if you're outside in the heat, that's a totally different story, but room temperature, once you switch that setting, then you're not gonna have any issues with overheating. Another qualm about this camera is low-key, like the battery life. It's not the best thing I ever had. Like that was one of the things I really loved about Canon. The battery life lasted like legit all day. And so on this camera, the A74, I go to shoot a wedding. I'm having to switch cameras or switch batteries like twice. When I was on Canon, I only had to switch them like once. So, but it's not end of the world, not end of the world at all. But anyway, that's the camera I'm using, A74. Let's move on. Another thing that's in my camera bag and that I do recommend if you're shooting weddings and you have to bring multiple bodies on your wedding day is a camera harness. So right now I'm using not right now, but when I go on my wedding days, I use this Coiro camera harness, and this gives me the ability to carry 2 cameras on me at the same time. Now the thing about this also, it has some safety features. So you tie it in. So this part here goes right into the bottom of the camera, and then these can clip on to the hooks. I need to block my eyes. What am I doing? And then these clamp on into the hooks on the side of the camera. And so you have dual protection with this camera harness. So I really like this. So this one is like $100. They have hold fast camera harnesses too that you can choose from, but I like the Coiro one because it is leather, it is padded, and it is, I would have to assume, of similar quality to the hold fast ones. And so for, you know, half the price. So get you a dual camera harness if you need to carry multiple bodies with you, whether it be on portrait sessions, engagements, or weddings. And yeah, you won't regret it. I love it. All right, let's move on. The lens that I'm using and the one that I'm using to record right now is the Sigma 24-70 DGDN Mark II, which I did a video about very recently. You can go click the video marker in the top left or click the card up there if you want to watch that after you finish this video. I like this lens a lot, but I'm not going to go into detail about it because, like I said, I talked a lot about it on this video that I just posted up here. But it's a fire lens, fire lens. Like, you just got to see it for yourself. You got to use it for yourself. Yeah, this lens is fire. Like, I highly recommend it. And I'm not just saying that because I've been using it. Sigma didn't pay me any money to say that. This is the only lens you'll ever need, and it will ruin your life. And you'll find out why once you watch that video that I talked about. After this video though, don't click off too soon. Wait up, wait. You jumping the gun now. Jumping the gun. Chill out. Wait till I see what else I got. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. The next lens that I'm using is the Sirui Aurora 85mm 1.4. I did a video about this lens as well, which I'll card up here if you want to go watch that. But I like this lens a lot. Also, I like that both of the lenses have aperture rings. I like that both of the lenses have slight customization. Obviously, the Sigma has a lot more than the Sirui, but the Sirui has amazing image quality as well, which you probably wouldn't expect from a company that typically only makes video lenses, and now they're getting to the autofocus system. And then at that point, it's the 85-1.4 that's only $600. And then you're like, why is it only $600? But it doesn't perform like a $600 lens. Like, it performs very equivalently to the Sigma 85 or the Sony G Master 85. If you don't believe me, watch videos about it. Like I said, I did a video about it if you want to check that out. But yeah, like that video is it. Or that lens is it. So if you're looking for 2 lenses, literally these are the only 2 lenses I got right now, 24-70 and the 85. And I can literally do whatever I want with these lenses. I want to pick up a 7200 later, but that's neither here nor there. It's another story for another time. But anyway, let's move on. Another thing that's in my camera bag is the flash. This is the Flashpoint R2 something. I can't remember the name, but you see it on the screen. And if you're looking at this flash and saying this looks strangely familiar to the Godox V1, that's because Flashpoint and Godox are actually the same company. So the trigger will actually trigger Godox and Flashpoint flashes. So same thing with Godox. If you have a Godox trigger, it can trigger Flashpoint flashes. And I got this for a really good deal. So the Godox V1, I think by itself is like $260. And I got this with the flash and the trigger for $218. So I got a steal on it. I got an absolute steal. So shout out to Adorama.com for the deal. It's not $218 anymore. I don't know if they made a mistake or whatever, but you know, I got it at $218. So I really enjoyed that a lot. But every photographer needs a flash in their bag. Every photographer needs to know how to use flash, because not every time that you go out to shoot, you're going to have accessible or proper natural light. So you need to know how to use flash. All right, cool. Speaking of every photographer needing to know how to use flash, which I wholeheartedly agree with. You need to learn how to use flash. If you don't and you need something better, then you can use something like this. This is a 5-in-1 reflector, and this is something that I have in my bag as well. I take it if I want to do any type of reflection shots, or if I'm in a place where I can't use flash, then I can bring the reflector and bounce light that way. This helps for video as well, because obviously for video there is no flash. You can use the video light, but if you're outside, just use a reflector and then you can kind of play with it that way. See if I can, oh, you see that? Oh, is it making a difference? You see how it's filling the shadows under my chin? Autofocus is crazy. Anyway, yeah, so if you don't want to learn how to use flash, get a reflector. It's gonna save your life. The next thing that's in my camera bag for 2025 is this JJC filter pouch, which carries all my filters, CPL, black mist, ND filters. And this is a case that holds up to 95mm filters. And one thing about filters, which I wish I did when I first started photography, but I didn't because, I don't know, I just didn't think about it. Whenever you buy filters, please just go ahead and buy 82mm than just buy step-up rings. It's so much cheaper to buy step-up rings than keep buying filters for whatever size your lens is. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably know that already, but if you're just starting out and haven't thought about it, don't be like me. Don't buy filters for the size of the filter thread of the lens. Just buy a 82, which is one of the biggest ones you can get, and then just buy step-up rings from there. It might look a little goofy, but I promise you it's gonna save you a lot of money. But this is a hard shell case to keep all my filters safe, and I got this stored away in my bag. Because like I said, I do hybrid photo and video, so you never know when I need to pull out a black mist, when I need to pull out an ND filter, my CPL or whatever. So I keep these filters on me and I keep it right in this pouch, and it keeps them safe. Surprisingly, I'm not using a black mist filter right now. I typically do, so I can get that soft look in camera, but I just don't have an 82mm yet. But a lot of people are gonna say, you know, you can just get that soft look in post. You don't have to use a filter for that, which is true. But if you want to get in the camera, just might as well get in the camera. But if you do want to get it in post, I do recommend a software called Dehancer. Dehancer is a film emulation software that's perfect for beginners or professionals looking to get that retro film look on their modern day film. And it has access to different plugins like Adobe Premiere, Lightroom, Final Cut Pro, and a whole lot more. And if you want to learn more about it, I actually have a code down in my description below to get you 10% off your subscription. So go to dehancer.com, look up what they got, see what works for you. And then when you make the choice to purchase, go ahead and use my code CAMPHOTO10 to get 10% off. And if you want to know more about Dehancer, I actually made a video all about it. You can go click this card up here to watch that after you watch this video. So anyway, shameless plug, moving on. So that's mainly what I'm using for the photo side of things. So now I'm going to kind of pivot to the video side of things, what I'm using. So a gimbal, everybody who does video needs a gimbal. Doesn't need, but you know, a gimbal helps. So the gimbal that I'm using is a Zhiyun Cinepure Weebill 3E. And this is probably one of the most budget-friendly gimbals that you can get on the market. I think right now it's going for $250. I got it on sale when it first came out. There was a promotion going on, $50 off, so I got mine for $200. But this is a nice compact gimbal. It's not too heavy, and its payload isn't like crazy. It's like 6 pounds, so you can't, you know, probably get on there like a Sony A1 or like a 28-70, but you know, like the A74, my 24-70, I can use that flawlessly. But I like to use primes on my gimbals just because I feel like it's easier to use primes, because when you use zooms and you zoom out, you're gonna have to rebalance the gimbal, and that's just a whole lot of stuff that you don't wanna deal with. But this gimbal has a lot of good features like pan follow, and then you can do like vortex and different features on this gimbal that you can do. It's very easy to set up, very easy to balance, and it lasts all day. The battery life on this I think is like 12 hours. So if you're going to shoot a wedding and you need a lightweight gimbal, this is definitely one that I would recommend, not just because I got the special on it, but because I've used it on an engagement shoot. And yeah, this thing lasted me the entire day, didn't have any issues, and I really like it, and it's very compact and all the things. So I really do recommend this gimbal if you're looking for a budget friendly one. I think, like I said, $250 I think. at this time of recording. So go ahead and check it out. You know, it's not going to be down in the description, but you know, check it out. Another thing that a lot of videographers need for their videos is a monitor, because the screen on the camera is entirely too small, so they need something a little bit bigger. So the monitor I'm using is a Viltrox DC550, and this is just the base model. There is a pro model, but I'm not using that. And this monitor does pretty much everything that you want it to do. It can do histogram reading, it can do false color, you can import your own LUTs and get a LUT preview. You can do anamorphic D-squeeze on here. You can control volume. You can do like a wide array of things on this monitor, which I really like. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly monitor that you can pretty much do anything with except record externally, this is one that I recommend, Viltrox DC550. The next thing I have on the video side of things is a top handle, which I use when I want to do handheld shots. And I use this Nicey Rig top handle. This thing is all of like $20–25. It's super cheap, but as you can see, it's lined with 1/4-20 threads and also 3/8. And so if you want to mount a microphone on here, or if you want to mount anything that your heart desires on here, you can. And then there's a cold shoe on top, so if you want to add a monitor on that, or if you want to add something else on the cold shoe, you can do that. And so this is one of the most budget items that I have in this list, but it's probably one of the most useful ones that I have in this list as well. So if you wanted to get handheld, you don't need a small rig cage. Even though they look cool, you don't need one to build out a rig. Minimal rig, if you want to check out a minimal rig, you know, check out this video up here. I recorded one a few weeks ago, but this is a top handle that I use quite frequently when I do my handheld shots, and it works flawlessly. Just slides right into the hot shoe. So something I recommend. And one thing I don't love talking about, but I guess I have to talk about because it is what I use. It's what I use to record on my YouTube videos and edit all my pictures and videos, and it's my 2020 MacBook Pro. Now this one is kind of one that, I mean, I bought it and I didn't think that I was going to be getting into photography and videography. So I got, you know, the Intel version i5, only 8 GB of RAM, 256 of internal storage. So it's definitely not a workhorse by any means, but it's doing a job for what I need it to do. I got this as soon as it came out, so back in 2020. So it's going on 5 years old right now. And I know it's time for an upgrade, I know, but at the same time, I'm trying to upgrade everything at once, and it's just, if you try to upgrade everything at once, you're not gonna upgrade anything. So it's one thing at a time, but you know, I'm figuring it out. So this is what I'm working with right now. Yeah, anyway, don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's move on. Another thing that I got in my camera bag is this SD card case to carry all my SD cards. Now I have two V90s in the camera, so the SD cards that I use on a consistent basis are going to be my Lexar Pro V90s 128 gig SD cards. And then this is just where I keep all my backups. As you see, here I have some more V90s, and then here I have some V60s. And these are just some V30s that I got when I first started photography because I didn't know anything about SD cards. So they are in there, but they don't really get used. So I do recommend an SD card case to keep your SD cards protected from friction and everything like that, because friction will corrupt these. And SD cards are not cheap, so get you an SD card case for your SD cards. Another thing that I just picked up for my camera, which is gonna be in my bag, is this hot shoe mount for my phone. And I got this to get behind the scenes content because, let's be real, in 2025, content is king. So get behind the scenes content with this, post it on Instagram, get some likes, and oh my gosh, how'd you do that? Oh, nice, yeah, or whatever. So hopefully I can use this for some education as well. So I'll put this on my hot shoe, and then I will pull up the Creator app for Sony cameras on my phone, and then I can do a screen recording of what my camera's seeing from my phone, and then use that for my education when it talks about, or when I'm talking about like off-camera flash and exposing for the background and stuff like that, which stay tuned to the channel because I have a lot of educational stuff coming as far as outside on the field, portraits, stuff like that. And hopefully I can use this at some upcoming weddings as well. So we'll see. But yeah, get you a hot shoe mount to add to your bag, get some behind the scenes content because content is king, and you will be left behind if you don't get behind the scenes content, because I don't know, that's just what it is. And last but not least, let's talk about the boring stuff, but also it's super necessary, but it is boring, and that is SSDs. So right now my working drive is a Crucial SSD. It's a 2 terabyte. It writes up to 2100 and it reads up to 2000, I believe. I might have had those numbers backwards, I'm not sure. But this is the SSD I got because I did not trust SanDisk anymore, but I did keep all my SanDisk SSDs. So I have a 1 terabyte SanDisk that is 2000 megabytes a second read and write speed. And then I also have a SanDisk 1 terabyte that is 1050 megabyte read and write speed. And then I also have a Western Digital hard drive, which was my first one. So I have 4 different storage places or storage devices for all my stuff. So when I shoot a wedding, it gets backed up to all 4 devices, my working drive, and also my 3 backups, because we're in a day and age where you got to be professional, man. You can't be losing people's pictures and videos. And so you need a way to, you know, make sure redundancy. You need backups on backups on backups on backups, okay? You absolutely do. If you're wanting to get into paid work and like big time paid work, like even if it's portraits or definitely weddings, you need multiple SSDs to back up onto, and then you need one preferably off location, just in case your house burns down, you still have a way to get, you know, the pictures back to the clients, because the client's not going to care that your house burned down. They might feel like, oh, like sorry, but they're still going to want their pictures back because they paid for them. So you need to make sure you got all your bases covered. So have multiple SSDs, back them up to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SSDs. I don't know. I know Ben Davis from Yamin Studios, I think he backs up to like 10 SSDs, because hey, if you're going out the house and getting all this money, you better make sure you got the product to return. You know, if one SSD corrupts, you got another SSD. Okay, so redundancy. Same thing with SD cards. You need a bunch for redundancy. Okay, you need to be shooting dual slot if you're shooting high key paid work. Shooting weddings, you need dual slot. All right. Anyway, I think that concludes the what's in my camera bag for 2025 Sony edition, because I moved on from Canon. So if you like this video, if you got some inspiration to something to add to your camera bag, let me know down in the comments below. If you made it to this point, tell me your favorite food to eat on Thanksgiving. Like what dish is the most important on Thanksgiving? If I see you put what dish is the most important on Thanksgiving, I know you made it to the end of the video, and shout out to you. So like and subscribe to the channel. This has been very long-winded and is very hot. Shout out to our Ohio State Buckeyes for winning the chip, bringing it home. Yo, big time. Yeah, I'm gonna holler at y'all next time. All right. Peace.